My son called me from the cockpit and said my daughter-in-law had just boarded his plane, while she was sitting alive and breathing in my living room. That was the moment I knew my family was built on a lie that could no longer stay buried. Before we begin the story, I invite my Muslim brothers and sisters to write prayers in the comments for our intercession in the afterlife, and please mention the city you are watching from. May your fortune be smooth, your health be good, and everything be made easy. If you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe so you do not miss the next story. I was folding laundry in my living room when the call came in. The sky outside my window had turned the color of wet cement, the kind of evening that makes every sound feel louder. The heater clicked on and off like it could not decide if it wanted to work. My house in Cottonwood Falls, Kansas, was not fancy, but it was mine. One-story, creaky wood floors, a small porch where I drank tea when my knees allowed it. I had just finished Maghrib prayer. I kept a simple prayer mat in the corner by the bookcase, away from the draft. When I stood up, my lower back complained, and I rubbed it with the same patience I used for everything these days. I wore one of my loose batik-style blouses, soft fabric, warm colors, the kind that made me feel like myself even when the mirror tried to argue. My hair was in locks tonight, silver threaded through them like a quiet warning. I tied them back in a low bun because my neck had been stiff all week. The phone lit up on the coffee table. Zia, my youngest son. I answered fast, because pilots do not call for small talk right before a flight. His voice came through with that controlled tone he learned in training. Calm, clipped, careful. Even when he was a little boy, he tried to hold his feelings like water in his hands. Ma, are you home right now? He said it like he needed my answer to be clean and simple. Yes, I told him. I am at home. I heard the faint hum of an airport behind him. A distant announcement. A rolling suitcase. The sound of him breathing slowly. And Naomi, he said. Is she with you? My fingers tightened around the phone. Naomi had arrived an hour earlier with a bag of oranges and a smile that did not reach her eyes. She said she was in town for errands. She said Isaiah had asked her to check on me. I glanced at the armchair across from me. Naomi sat there with her legs crossed, my old denim jacket over her shoulders like she belonged in it. She was slender, neat, smooth around the edges. Her hair was straight and glossy tonight, tucked behind her ears. She held a glass of water but did not drink it. She watched me the way people watch a screen they do not trust. Yes, I told him. She is here. There was a pause on the line, long enough for my stomach to drop. Then Isaiah whispered, softer than before. That is not possible. My mouth went dry. What do you mean? His voice lowered even more. I could picture him, handsome and serious, in that crisp uniform, standing straight like his spine was made of rules. She just boarded my flight, he said. I saw her at the gate. She handed her pass to the agent. She looked up at me. She walked down the jet bridge. I stared at Naomi. She did not blink. Her face stayed calm, almost bored. The only movement was the slow rise of her chest. That cannot be, I said, but the words did not have strength. They floated out of me like smoke. Isaiah breathed in through his nose, the way he did when he tried not to panic. Ma, listen to me, he said. Is she in front of you right now? I looked again, forcing my eyes to take in details. The curve of her cheekbones. The clean line of her eyebrows. The way her lips stayed pressed together like she was holding back a comment. Yes, I said. She is sitting right here. Naomi finally moved. She lifted her glass. She took one small sip. Then she set it down carefully, like she did not want the sound to travel. Isaiah exhaled sharply. I am going to send you something, he said. Do not show anyone. My phone buzzed with a message. Photo. It was a security camera still from the airport gate. A woman in a beige coat, hair smooth and straight, a tote bag on her shoulder. She was turning her head toward the camera. Her face was clear enough for my heart to stumble. 'Twas Naomi. Same sharp cheekbones. Same mouth. Same eyes that looked like they had learned how to hide. I felt cold spread through my arms. I looked up from the phone. Naomi was still in my living room. Same face, same eyes. But the Naomi in my house had on my denim jacket. She had come with oranges. She had told me she missed my cooking. She had asked about my blood pressure like she cared. The Naomi in the photo looked like she did not have time for any of that. My lips started to shake, and I pressed them together hard. I did not want Isaiah to hear my fear. He was in the air. He needed focus. Isaiah, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Where are you right now? In the cockpit, he said. We are about to push back. I have to go. I opened my mouth to beg him to stop, to step off the plane. Come home. But a pilot cannot do that, not easily, not without setting fire to his own life. Naomi in the chair tilted her head slightly, like she was listening to a distant sound. I heard it too. A step. Low. Measured. Not from outside. From inside my house. From the hallway that led to my bedroom. My throat tightened. My skin prickled. Naomi did not move. The footsteps came closer, one step at a time, calm like whoever was walking knew exactly where they were going. I kept my eyes on Naomi in the chair. My hand stayed locked around the phone. My other hand reached slowly toward the heavy ceramic vase on the coffee table, the one my daughter had made in high school. Isaiah was still on the line. His voice faint now, pulled by the demands of his job. Ma, he said, do not open the door for anyone. The hallway darkened as a shadow crossed the light. The footsteps stopped just behind me. I did not turn around. Every part of my body wanted to, but I stayed still, like movement itself might make things worse. The footsteps behind me did not come closer. They just waited. Whoever stood there was not in a hurry. Naomi in the chair watched my face carefully. Her eyes moved from my hand on the vase to my phone and back again. For the first time since she arrived, something crossed her expression. Not fear. Calculation. Who is on the phone? She asked. Her voice was steady, polite, almost gentle. That made my skin crawl more than if she had shouted. My son, I said. Your husband. She nodded slowly, like that answer fit into a plan she already had. The presence behind me shifted. I heard fabric brush against the wall. A breath, close enough that the warmth touched the back of my neck. I swallowed. Isaiah says you are on his flight, I said, speaking to the Naomi in front of me, careful with every word. He says he saw you board. She did not deny it. She did not confirm it either. That must have been someone who looks like me, she said. People say that happens. Her tone was reasonable. Almost comforting. I laughed once, sharp and short. Surprised me. There is no one who looks like you that closely, I said. Not unless I gave birth to them. The room went quiet. The heater stopped clicking. The house felt like it was holding its breath. The Naomi in the chair set her glass down again. This time her hand shook just a little. Behind me, the person in the hallway took a step back. Felt the air shift. I turned around then. A woman stood there, half in shadow, half in the dim light from the living room. She wore a beige coat. Her hair was straight and glossy. Her face was familiar in a way that made my chest hurt. She was older than Naomi in the chair. Not by much, but enough that I could see it in the lines near her eyes, in the tightness around her mouth. Her posture was straighter, her gaze sharper. She looked at me like she already knew me. You took your time, she said. Her voice was lower than Naomi's. Colder. Naomi in the chair stood up slowly. The two women faced each other. Same height, same build, same face, different energy. My knees weakened and I sat down hard on the couch. Who are you? I asked, though part of me already knew. The woman from the hallway looked at me, really looked at me, from my silver locks to my flat sandals to the way my hands trembled in my lap. My name is Ruth, she said. You named me that, even if you pretended I did not exist. Naomi closed her eyes. I felt something crack inside my chest, a soundless break that spread through my ribs. No, I whispered. That is not possible. Ruth stepped fully into the light. Her eyes were the same shape as mine, the same deep brown. The same heavy lids that made people think we were tired when we were only thinking. You were 19, she said. Monroe, Louisiana. Church-run hospital. They told you it was better this way. My mouth opened, but no words came out. Naomi spoke then, her voice tight. You promised, she said to Ruth. You said you would not come here. Ruth smiled without warmth. I promised I would not ruin your life, she said. You did that yourself when you came looking for her. Both of them turned to me. I felt exposed, like my life had been peeled open. I did not come looking, I said weakly. Naomi came to me. Naomi shook her head. You called first, she said. You asked questions you were not supposed to ask. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. Ruth stepped closer to me. Not threatening. Intent. I boarded that flight because your son needed to see me, she said. I needed him to see me. Why? I asked. She leaned down so her face was level with mine. Because lies do not survive altitude, she said. Outside, a car passed by. Life continued, careless and normal. Inside my house, the past had finally caught up. I slept in my clothes that night. I did not remember lying down, only the weight of exhaustion pressing me into the couch after Ruth left and Naomi locked herself in the guest room. My dreams were thin and restless, filled with hospital lights and the smell of disinfectant. When I woke, the house was quiet. Too quiet. Morning light slipped through the blinds, landing on the same coffee table where the vase still sat untouched. My phone lay face down beside it. I turned it over slowly, half afraid of what I might see. 3 missed calls from Isaiah. My chest tightened. I called him back immediately. He answered on the first ring. Ma, he said, his voice rough. What is going on? I need you to listen, I said. And I need you not to interrupt. There was a pause. Then he said, okay. I told him about Ruth. I told him about Monroe. I told him about the hospital run by the church and the night they took one baby from my arms and told me it was mercy. I did not cry. The tears had already been spent decades ago. Isaiah did not speak until I finished. You are saying Naomi has a sister, he said. A twin. Yes. And you are saying you are their mother. Yes. He exhaled slowly. The woman on my flight, he said. She knew things. About me. About you. About my childhood home. She knew details no stranger could know. My stomach twisted. She wanted you to see her, I said. She wanted me to believe her, he replied. I heard a knock at the guest room door behind me. Naomi stepped out. She had changed clothes. A fitted black sweater. Her hair pulled back tight like she was bracing herself. She told him, did you not? Naomi said quietly. Yes, I said. Naomi sat across from me, folding her hands together. I did not know about Ruth until 5 years ago, she said. I found documents, adoption records, letters that were never sent. My throat burned. Why did you not tell me? I asked. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and the anger she had been holding slipped through. Because you chose me, she said. And I was afraid you would stop. The truth landed heavy. Ruth had said she would not ruin Naomi's life. Naomi had come anyway, pulled by the same questions that had chased me for years. Isaiah spoke through the phone again. The airline grounded me, he said. They are investigating the security breach. Closed my eyes. This is my fault, I said. No, he said firmly. This is history catching up. There was another knock, this one sharp. Naomi stiffened. Open the door. Ruth stood there, holding a thin folder. I thought you might want proof, she said. Inside were copies of birth records, adoption papers. A photo of me at 19, eyes wide, hair braided tight, holding 2 identical babies wrapped in white cloth. My hand shook as I held it. I am not here to take anything from you, Ruth said. I am here because I deserve to exist. I nodded because I had no right to deny her that. The 3 of us sat at the kitchen table like strangers waiting for instructions. The sun climbed higher, warming the room, touching the edges of things that had been cold for too long. I made tea because my hands needed something to do. The kettle whistled. The sound grounded me. Ruth sat with her coat still on, her posture straight, alert. Naomi had changed again, into a loose gray dress, softer, like she was trying to breathe. I wore my house clothes, a long skirt and a faded blouse, the ones I wore when I was tired of performing strength. For the first time, no one raised their voice. Ruth spoke about her childhood, about moving from family to family, about being told she was lucky, grateful, chosen, about feeling like something was missing but never knowing what shape it had. Naomi listened, her jaw tight. I grew up knowing I was loved, Naomi said, but always watched, always reminded to behave, to fit, to not ask too much. They shared the same face, but their lives had carved it differently. I listened to both, my heart splitting and stretching at the same time. When Isaiah arrived that evening, the house felt smaller. He stood in the doorway, tall and rigid, his pilot jacket still on like armor. He looked from Naomi to Ruth, and something in him faltered. "This is not a trick," Ruth said. "You know it." Isaiah nodded slowly. "I felt it," he admitted. "When I saw you at the gate. Something did not line up." He looked at me then. "You should have told me," he said, not accusing, just honest. "I was afraid," I said. "Afraid of losing the life I built." He stepped forward and hugged me. I felt his strength, his warmth, and I let myself lean into it. For a moment, hope sat with us at the table. Quiet, careful, real. Hope did not last the night. It never does when truth has been waiting too long. I woke before dawn to the sound of Naomi moving around the house. Drawers opening, cabinets closing, careful steps like she was trying not to wake a sleeping child. I lay still on my bed, listening, my heart already heavy. By the time I stepped into the kitchen, Naomi was gone. Her phone lay on the table. Her wedding ring sat beside it, placed neatly like an apology she could not say out loud. Ruth stood by the sink, staring out the window. "She left before sunrise," Ruth said. "She said she needed space." Isaiah came out of the guest room, rubbing his eyes. When he saw the table, the phone, the ring, his shoulders sagged. "She does this when she feels cornered," he said quietly. Picked up the ring. It was still warm, like she had only just taken it off. By noon, news spread faster than any of us expected. Isaiah's airline suspended him indefinitely. Security footage had leaked. His name was tied to an investigation, to whispers of identity fraud and family interference. Reporters called. I did not answer. By evening, Ruth packed her things. "I cannot stay," she said. "Not like this." He nodded. Understood. Had run once too. When she left, the house felt hollow again, like it had exhaled too much. That night, Isaiah sat alone on the porch. I joined him, wrapping a shawl around my shoulders. The air smelled like dry grass and dust. "I do not know who I am married to anymore," he said. I did not respond. Some pain does not want fixing. Inside, the house waited, full of memories that refused to stay buried. 3 days passed without a word from Naomi. The house settled into a strange rhythm. Isaiah slept late and stayed quiet. He spent hours staring at his phone without touching it, like it might bite him if he did. I moved through my routines slowly, cooking simple meals, watering the plants, folding the same laundry twice. My body felt heavier than usual, my joints stiff, my chest tight with things unsaid. On the 4th morning, a letter arrived. It was addressed to Isaiah, but my name was written small in the corner, almost like an afterthought. The handwriting was careful, practiced. Isaiah read it at the kitchen table. I watched his face change line by line. When he finished, he slid the paper toward me. Naomi had gone to Monroe. She wrote that she needed to see the place where everything began. She needed to stand where the lie was born and understand how it survived for so long. She wrote that she was not running away, but she was not ready to come back either. "She is looking for answers," Isaiah said quietly. Just like Ruth did. That afternoon my phone rang again. Ruth. Her voice was steady but tired. I met Naomi, she said. At the old hospital. My breath caught. They are tearing it down, Ruth continued. The church sold the land. The records office is half empty. I paused. We found something, she said. A file that was never sealed. My hands trembled. The adoption was rushed, Ruth said. The signatures were incomplete. Someone wanted this done fast and quiet. I sat down hard in the chair. I did not give consent, I whispered. Not really. No, Ruth said. You were pressured. Manipulated. The truth shifted inside me. What I had carried as shame for decades changed shape. It was still heavy, but it was no longer poison. That night, Isaiah booked a ticket to Louisiana. I need to see this for myself, he said. I watched him pack, thinking about how truth moves. How it does not disappear. Only waits. We arrived in Monroe just before sunset. The heat clung to my skin the moment I stepped out of the car, thick and familiar, like a memory that refused to fade. The air smelled the same as it did all those years ago. Old trees. Something sour underneath. The hospital was already half torn down. Yellow tape fluttered in the breeze. Concrete dust coated the ground like ash. I stood across the street, my knees weak, my heart pounding harder than it had in years. Naomi was there. She stood near the fence, her hair loose, her face bare. She looked smaller somehow, like the city had taken something from her. Ruth stood beside her, arms crossed, watching the demolition with unreadable eyes. Isaiah stopped short when he saw them both together. For a moment no one spoke. Then Naomi turned. When she saw Isaiah, her face cracked. Not dramatically, just enough to let pain slip through. I needed to know, she said. I needed to see it. Isaiah nodded once. He did not hug her. He did not step away either. Ruth spoke then, her voice clear. The truth is ugly, she said. But it is complete now. I stepped forward, my legs trembling. Both women looked at me. I am sorry, I said. Not for loving one of you, but for believing I had no right to fight for both. The demolition machine roared to life behind us. Walls collapsed. Dust rose. Naomi wiped her eyes. Ruth did not. Something ended there, in that noise and dust. Something else began, quieter, uncertain but real. Continue. Episode 8. After the noise settled. We did not speak much after that. The drive back to Kansas was long and quiet. Naomi sat in the back seat, her knees pulled close to her chest, staring out the window like the road might explain something if she watched it long enough. Ruth drove for the first few hours, steady and focused. Isaiah sat beside her, silent, his hands folded. His posture no longer sharp like it used to be. I watched all of them through the rearview mirror when I could. A family. Broken into pieces that finally made sense. When we reached Cottonwood Falls, the house felt different. Not smaller or bigger. Just honest. Like it had stopped pretending to be peaceful. Ruth stayed for 2 nights. She slept in the guest room Naomi once used, wearing loose shirts and jeans, her hair tied back carelessly. Without the sharp coat and careful posture, she looked more like me than ever. Her face softened when she laughed. Her eyes crinkled the way mine did. Naomi kept her distance. She moved quietly through the house, changing clothes often, as if trying to shed skins that no longer fit. One morning she wore a long cardigan and flat shoes. The next, a fitted blouse and heels, like she was testing which version of herself could survive. Isaiah watched her with a patience I admired. On the 3rd morning, Ruth packed her bag. I am not disappearing, she said to me. I just need space to build something that is mine. Hugged her. She hugged me back, stiff at first, then real. Naomi stood in the doorway and watched. When Ruth left, Naomi sat at the kitchen table and stared at her empty cup. I do not know who I am anymore, she said. I sat across from her. That means you are finally free to find out, I replied. Outside, the wind moved through the trees. Life did not pause for us. Never does. Months passed. The seasons shifted slowly, the way they always do in Kansas. The air cooled. The leaves turned and fell. My body ached more in the mornings, my knees reminding me of every stair I had ever climbed in a hurry. I let my hair go free most days, silver and thick, no longer tied back to please anyone. Isaiah found work again. Not in the cockpit. On the ground. Training new pilots. He stopped wearing his jacket like armor. He laughed more, softer, like a man who had put something heavy down. Naomi stayed. She did not return to who she had been. She became quieter, then steadier. Some days she wore loose dresses and moved slowly. Other days she dressed sharp and spoke with confidence. I stopped trying to read meaning into it. I let her be. Ruth called once a week. Sometimes more. She told me about her new job, her small apartment, the way she was learning to cook meals that felt like home. She did not call me mother. She did not need to. We did not fix everything. We did not have to. One evening after Maghrib prayer, I sat on the porch with a cup of warm tea. The sky faded from blue to gray. My house creaked behind me, alive and familiar. I thought about Monroe, about silence, about how long I had carried a story that was not whole. Now it was. I sat there until the light disappeared, breathing evenly, my hands steady in my lap. This story teaches that the truth may stay hidden for years, but it never disappears. What we avoid, deny, or bury often returns when we are least prepared. The lesson is not about blame but about responsibility. Silence can protect us for a moment, but it can also shape the lives of others in ways we never intended. Healing begins when we choose honesty, even when it is uncomfortable. Family is not only about shared blood or shared history, but about the courage to face reality together and allow each person the space to exist as they truly are. This story is a work of fiction. The characters, events, places, and situations are created to look real so the audience can reflect on the lesson within the story. Any resemblance to real people or real events is purely coincidental. The purpose of this story is to deliver meaning, reflection, and emotional insight, not to present real-life events. Thank you for listening to this story from beginning to end. If this story touched you or gave you something to think about, please share your thoughts in the comments. Do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you would like to hear more stories like this in the future.